I would try to increase the budget for the schools, especially since, the age of some of our schools in the district, they just need upgrading. How I'm going to do it? Again, I'm not in there, so I don't know where to allocate the resources yet. That would be on the advice from the City Council President Mike Farina, Ken Hopkins, Steve Stycos, and the rest of the council.
All right. Councilman Stycos.
Well, I think as a practical matter, the school budget won't increase by a large amount unless it's recommended by the mayor. Because when the budget gets to the council, no one wants to raise taxes. And to increase the budget by a lot of money for the schools would mean raising taxes. Because most of the money is tied up in the employees, which makes sense, you're running a city. But that money is determined by the union contracts. So what I would say to people who are interested in increasing money for the schools is you've got to talk to the mayor and you've got to come to city council budget hearings. I believe last year maybe one parent came and advocated for more money from the schools. Members of the school committee stood up, Janice and Stephanie Culhane and Jeff Gale, but there weren't any parents there. So there weren't very many parents there. So that's I think the path to a larger school budget.
Thank you. Councilman Hopkins.
Thank you. The quality of any community here in Rhode Island is directly related to the effectiveness of its schools. Being a former educator and having a son that's a principal, a wife that's a teacher, and a daughter that's a teacher, I fully support education. I go to their school committee meetings. Yes, we do need to fund them better. Where that funding is going to come from, well, my ideas include the increase of support for small businesses so that we can continue to attract businesses to keep our tax rate on the homeowners down. But I think the obligation definitely, especially for the restructuring of our schools, has to come from the state government and the federal government. If not, nothing is going to change. And we're not going to go through the city of Cranston and ask the taxpayers to give us $20 million a year to build new schools. That's just not practical. That has to come from the state budget and the federal government. And again, many of our schools are 80 years old. I worked at Cranston East for a long time, and it definitely has some infrastructure issues. But I'm not sure the taxpayers should feel the burden of paying for that. I think it has to come from other places, and again, it would be the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah.
I guess, I really feel like the schools are one of our greatest assets. Having strong schools really is a draw for people who want to move to Cranston, and underfunding them doesn't do anyone any favors. We are on the council a little hamstrung because we do not negotiate and create that budget, but the schools usually will ask for more, and then we try to figure out where we can get it. We do our best, and nobody wants to see increases in taxes, but I think hopefully the state bond issue comes through, and we get some funds there that we can pass on, and I guess it's an issue that everybody feels strongly about, and the infrastructure in the schools has been ignored for a while, and we all see it in our kids' school buildings that are old and need some repair, and that's going to be a big dollar amount. So I hope we can do better by the schools. I don't have any easy fix ideas of where the money would come from. I'd have to really look at the budget and see where we have some extra. So going to take a lot of digging. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Farina.
Thank you. I apologize for me staring at my daughter. She made some paintings for me and she's showing them to me. For me, the big issue that we always run into with the budget, especially with the schools, is all the unfunded mandates that get passed at the State House. And the school committee works really hard to build the budget to get all those things funded. Fortunately, when we get the budget, there's no money tree out back that we can go pick from to try to get extra money to allocate to the schools. So what we've tried to do my last 6 years as on the council is work within our guardrails to look at things we can cut, get rid of some of the nice to haves. I know Councilman Stycos hated this cut, but we cut the sidewalks program 2 years ago so we could give money to the schools because they were in dire need of it, because we lost $700,000 in state aid because the state made a mathematical calculation error in their funding of the free meals program. That was no fault of the school committee, the school department, the city council, the mayor, anybody. But we have to go make that up. And those are the challenges that we face day to day when we look at school funding, because we all want to fund for our schools. We want to build new buildings, we want to do all these things. But we're landlocked with how much money we can raise. And I will agree with Councilman Stycos. Once that budget gets into the council chamber, if the mayor has not raised taxes, you're not going to get 5 council people who sit there and say, you know what, I think is a good idea? I think we should raise taxes. Because sadly, council people sit on 2-year terms. And if any one of us was to propose a tax increase, odds are our opponent would use that against us. I know one member of the council did. I won't say his name, but I would never use that against him because he did what he thought was right. But as council people, we think if we support that kind of thing, if we raise taxes to give money to the schools, we won't get reelected and we'll be able to do good works. So I wish there was a simple solution. I wish there was a way I could say, hey, let's just throw a bunch of money at the schools. But until we work collaboratively, and that's the one thing I've done as president, is work collaboratively together with the schools, and I will continue to do that.
Time.
We won't get better schools.
Gail?
Guess I'm batting cleanup here. Everybody's got really good points. And this is a question like many of the others tonight. There is no easy fix. It's like the pension. There is no easy fix. I remember asking a gentleman when I was in Brooklyn on a PTA, and he was the school board, and we didn't have textbooks, and I said, when are we going to get the politics out of our kids' schools? And the guy looked at me and he said, well, you never will as long as there's money involved. And that's always stuck with me. And I think everybody has points, and everybody's saying great things. A, it's hard. B, nobody knows where really the money's going to come from, but it has to come. Our kids can't be in schools. They don't have carbon monoxide monitors. They can't be in a high school where the teachers are frying on the first floor because it's so hot. They can't be in schools with crumbling windows. So as a population, hopefully you will vote yes on the bond question, question 1. That will raise some money. And yes, we do have to work with the state. And yes, we do have to work with the city. And yes, we have to work with the feds. And that's the way we do it, working with everybody. If we just get turfy and say, well, the state did this, and then, well, that happened to us, and well, what can we do? So on the tough stuff, we all have to work together, and we have to go in with, I think, an open mind and say, this is our problem. As a state, what can you do for us? What can the feds do for us? And we're willing to come to the table to do X,
10
Y, and
seconds.
Z. And that's the only way. That's the only way tough things work. You come together and you hash it out.